Hey YouTube, Spencer here. Today I have some questions for my father. Stay tuned for the channel.
See you then. Sorry. Hey YouTube, it's Matt here, and my son Spencer told me he had some questions about me and why I collect comic books, and we just kind of figured this would make another great video. I don't know what the questions are. He does. He actually has them written down here, and I'm doing my best to not look at them, but we hope that you guys get to enjoy this conversation between this young collector and this old collector.
Alright, so why do you enjoy reading comics?
Ooh, that's a good question. Have I never talked to you about this?
No, I don't think you have.
Okay, well, why do I like reading comic books? I've always liked reading. I've read so many Stephen King books, almost all of them. Dean Koontz books, J.R. Tolkien books, a lot of Dungeons and Dragon books. I've read so many like spy novel books over the years. And the reason I like reading comic books is honestly the same reason I like to read anything. It is a nice, distraction from the world where my mind can take me off into a different world, into a fantasy world, and just decompress like that. And honestly, I find entertainment. I find entertainment in watching movies and watching television. And to me, it's no different. I actually enjoy reading more than I do watching a movie or television. Because when I'm reading, my mind is making up the entire world in my head. Where TV, it's kind of already done for you. So why I like reading comic books is honestly the same reason as I like to read any type of story. So Spencer, I like that question. I liked it a lot, but I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to ask you the same question. Why do you enjoy reading comic books?
Well, as long as I've been alive, I've been watching superhero movies. I was about 3 whenever the MCU came out, and I like those movies. Now, we have the DCU, the MCU. You have a lot of superhero franchises out there. There's an issue with that. You can watch all of them in about, a week of binging on the MCU. Now, adding all of those other, standalone superhero movies from, third-party companies, you can probably get, binge all of it in, 2 months. But, comics, they never end. And plus, comics have some great storylines that would never be tested out on the big screen. Just long storylines that take a long time to finish that most companies wouldn't put time or effort into transforming that to a movie or TV show series style format. So all of those great stories, which some of them are better than the MCU, or just movies in general, are trapped on books. So you have to read the books. That's why I read comic books.
Now you talked a lot about the MCU movies, but you read mainly DC. And I'm not saying mainly, but you read probably more DC than Marvel. But you still read a lot of Marvel. What do you think about the DC books versus the DCEU movies?
Ooh, that's a complicated one.
I feel that it is too.
I love DC comic books. Mainly Batman, because this might be a controversial statement, but I feel like most of the DC superheroes in the comics and the movies, they're just way too overpowered to have compelling stories. Now, there's some stories that are absolutely amazing. I guarantee, I don't read much Superman, as you can probably tell, but I guarantee there's probably a good few good stories. But my main issue with it is DC makes their superheroes a little too overpowered, even Batman to an extent. Now, where this comes into the movies is live-action movies. They don't transform well. It ain't true like DC or just a movie watcher in general. If they watch some of the live-action movies, except for maybe the Snyder Cut and maybe the new Batman movie that's come out, but we're not sure about that. Haven't got a chance to watch it.
No, maybe this weekend.
A lot of the live-action DC movies are just Absolutely terrible. I'll be straight up. They're bad. Like, Superman, Batman. My mom's named Martha. Oh my god, mine too. We should be friends after we've been trying to kill each other. A lot of the stories just don't add up. They don't make sense. They're just bad. They're bad. Now, there's a different story with the animated, because there's a lot of great animated movies and the TV shows and series. Now, that's where DC really excels. I mean, I don't think I've ever watched a good Marvel animated TV show.
Oh, they have some. Trust me, I have some downstairs on DVD for you. Yep.
Well, only really.
The Young Avengers is one.
Oh wait, no, that's Star Wars.
Planet Hulk was another one. Like, there's some good animated, but I without a doubt agree with you. No, you're allowed. I mean,
I'm gonna stick with my guns here.
But I without a doubt agree with you. DC makes great animated movies. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, do you have any other questions for me?
Why do you collect comic books?
That we're talking about complicated things. I've actually wondered this in the past. Whenever I first started collecting, I had zero desire to have a giant comic book collection. I had zero desire to have a slab comic book or a comic book room. I would just collected what I read because I knew people collected comic books. And honestly, like, I always envisioned myself, whenever I was a kid, as an adult, having a library in my house. I always thought that'd be something cool. I really don't have a library, but kind of, if you check out the comic books, I do. But I do have some large bookshelves in my house. But I always, nobody throws away books. So I always thought throwing away a book was, just a very bad practice. So I kept the books that I originally was reading. But then after a while, it started to be fun trying to complete runs and to do something beyond my reading. And I always read, I've always been a big reader of comic books. That being said, there's a lot of comic books in this room that I've never read, but there are literally thousands and multiple thousands of books that I've read that aren't in this room because I will read them digitally. So it kind of, it balances out there. But why I collect comic books is it's just fun. I work a lot of hours. I work multiple jobs and I'm very active. And you guys don't know this, but I never just sit around the house and do nothing, do I?
No.
I get home, I start, if I have time, I'm outside, I'm tinkering, I'm down in the basement, maybe trying to figure out a woodworking project. I have multiple hobbies. We started a hobby farm, did we not? Mm-hmm. So there's always something to do around a farm. I do woodworking, I can do construction, I can help other friends of mine do stuff. I'm always busy, but comic book collecting is a little bit of me time, where if I get a moment, I can organize my books, I can bag and board them, I can make them look nice, and it's just kind of a little bit of me time, because am I not always, not am I, but I feel that I spend a lot of time with you and your mother. I feel that I'm a very strong family man. Family is very important to me. But even then, sometimes I just need that me time. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons I like to collect. Mm-hmm. Why do you like to collect comic books?
I don't really have a true answer for you. One of the main reasons I started off collecting comic books, and this is pretty childish, but, it's funny, I don't really care. It's, I wanted to have something to brag to my friends about on how many comic books I could own.
Chicks dig it, right? Chicks dig a large comic book collection, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
Totally, yeah.
I like it. Well, I like that. That hurt my eyeballs. All right.
But one of the main reasons is my friends and I, we've always had small things we collect. My one friend, he used to collect Lego sets. He would have a bunch of Lego sets. Mm-hmm. My other friend, he started to try to collect comic books, but then kind of gave up. Mm-hmm. And as far as I know, I started off just collecting comic books for the bragging rights. Then there was a little epiphany. I started reading these comic books. And I was like, wow, some of these stories are actually pretty good. So then I started collecting comics I only liked because they were good stories. And then I had a little period where I started buying comic books based on the cover art. Not really. There's some really good cover art for comics I'm not really big fan of.
Absolutely. Yep.
For example...
Oh, we have that from the video the other night.
I'm not a big fan of, like early Batman comic books because they're a little too goofy. But
you need to try out some of the ones from the 40s. They're kind of dark and creepy.
Depends on which ones we're talking about because some of them are really good.
Yes.
But most of them, for example, the main run-up line that is very early, just not that good. A little too goofy.
Yeah.
Good for kids, good for the time, just not really good now. But that's one of the next reasons why I started collecting comics. Then finally, the third reason, resellability.
Hey, you can't knock that.
There's something inherently beautiful about watching a comic you bought for like $4 over the span of like 4 years slowly become into a $20 book. It's rare, but I have a few examples inside my collection.
I like that. Those are really, they're legit and honest reasons. I like that.
Now,
I'm learning from you. In this video, I know this is just you and I having fun, and you are the one with these questions, but I am actually learning something about you. This is kind of cool.
Now I have 3 more questions here.
Okay.
Why do you collect physical copies when you read digitally?
Ooh. Well, that is something I've never talked about on YouTube, in front of a camera. But it's a legit good question, because I always tell you guys that I read my comics digitally. I actually will buy books, and I will never open that book up. And some people are like, that's crazy. No, listen, the number one thing I love about this hobby, actually, other than meeting people outside of, in the community, I love meeting people. That's my favorite thing. But my favorite thing about the books, the stories, is reading them. That goes without a saying. So I don't feel that I am a disingenuous collector, but I can read the books and not collect a floppy. Well, I can open up a floppy, and then I get a spine tick in it, and then some of these books are going for thousands of dollars, and I can damage it. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's not the best way to go, even though I do enjoy reading a floppy from time to time. And I will read floppies, and I'm very careful with them, and I won't, hold them all the way open, and I just make sure that I only curl it enough so I can read it. But the reason I do it is something started to dawn on me after I was collecting comic books for a while. And I really did. I only collected what I read, just like I said. But then I started realizing the value of these books. That people are willing to pay real money for these books. Well, all right, I have a 401k. I wish it was bigger than what it is, trust me. But I enjoy watching that little nest egg grow. I enjoy reading the newspaper and seeing when a company is doing well. I enjoy seeing whenever stocks are rising, and so that I can see the value of what's going on in that investment. Well, guys, I have every single one of these comic books in this room in an online database that keeps ongoing value changes, okay? So it's not static. Every time there's an update to a book value, my value of my total overall collection rises. I did a video the other day about watching or having books in the collection that you've had for years all of a sudden become very popular and the value skyrocketing, even though you only paid a couple bucks for it. To me, that is just a fun part of the hobby. And I'm not about dollars, trust me. I'm not about, monetary value, but it's just another way of having fun with the collection. Plus, I really enjoy a lot of the art. You guys can see there's some books, here. I absolutely enjoy seeing these historic books that people talk about and a lot of collectors covet. So that's one of the reasons that I will collect a book even though I read it digitally.
Now, for my fourth question, what do you expect to gain by collecting?
Nothing. I don't expect to gain anything from it. In fact, I will probably die with this collection. And somebody that somebody might have a collecting bug, might benefit from it, okay?
Hey, are you dying anytime soon?
I hope my life insurance is paid up. Okay, but anyhow, I really don't want to gain anything from it. It's something I enjoy. Like I said, it's a little bit of downtime. It's a little bit of me time. I can kind of get away from the stresses and the realities of being a responsible adult by coming into this comic book room and, reading good stories and organizing and checking out the value change, and then maybe figure out what books do I want to send to CGC. It's a nice reprieve for me so that I can just relax. And some days my relaxing is hilarious, because some days I'll go outside and I'll dig whatever I need to, or cut down trees, or put up fence, or do whatever I need to. So some days my relaxing, I come back dirty and sweaty as can be, don't I?
Yeah.
But this is a different relaxing. This is a relaxing where I can just come up here in a clean environment and I can just chill out and, kind of like disappear in my own mind. So I really don't expect to gain anything from it. Good question.
Thank you.
Are you learning anything from this?
Yeah, I'd say I'm learning quite a bit.
I mean, we do live together. We see each other every day. He drives me to work every day, so we definitely spend a lot of time together. But sometimes, even though you are part of a family, you don't always communicate all these little thoughts that are in your head. So I kind of hope that I'm enlightening you and giving you a little bit of a deeper picture into what goes on in my head.
Yeah, you are. You certainly are.
Good.
What is your goal by the time you are dead or stop collecting?
Ooh. What I want to accomplish, okay, before I hang it up, is what you're saying. I want to... That's a really good question. I want to hand something down to you, okay? Now, you're my legacy. I only have one kid. This is him. And I would like to have something that I could give to him that's a little bit different. Like a lot of people might give a house to their kid, or whatever, whatever assets. Well, and I hope that I have the ability to do that. But if I just give you a comic book collection, now, I think that would be kind of cool, because it's relatively unique. Now, that being said, I think a comic book collection can be an extremely burdensome thing to pass down to somebody. So, there's a reason that I'm slabbing some books, so that you might not want to collect comic books whenever you're older. And hopefully this, conversation isn't morbid. And hopefully this is 50 years down the line and it doesn't happen soon. But I want to make sure that you or your kids would have the ability to take this collection and convert it into cash pretty quickly. So there's a reason I organize like I do. And there's a reason that I am putting books in CGC slabs, because they're easier to turn around and sell. Because what I enjoy here might not be what you enjoy later on. So I don't want to give you a burden. I want to give you an asset. And I want to, and if you want to keep collecting, I'm going to give you a pretty nice collection, I hope.
All right. Well, that was all the questions I had written down here. And I've learned a lot from my father. And apparently he's a Marvel animated TV show fan.
I like the DC animated stuff. Just because I like one doesn't mean I don't like the other. Same being said, just because I like the DC doesn't mean I don't like the Marvel. You can enjoy both.
There's two types of people in this world. There's two types of people.
What are they?
Mug maniacs and lean lunatics.
Did you ever watch Animaniacs?
No.
Oh my gosh, it was the greatest show. It was from the 90s. I would watch it when I got home from school. It was amazing. But I haven't seen that on TV for a while. I think they tried bringing it back, but it wasn't. The writing was different. But that was a great show. But anyhow, dude, I enjoyed these questions. I hope you guys enjoyed these questions. Do you have anything else?
I wouldn't say so. No, I don't have any more questions.
Alright, guys. I hope you like this video. I hope you like us talking about comic books. My goal of the channel isn't to be an expert on anything. It's really, I want to show people the comic book collecting from an everyday person, okay? From my personal point of view. Well, these are issues, his questions I thought were great. I really didn't know what they were. I was kind of sneaking peeks of them as we were sitting here, but I didn't see them. before the camera went on. And I hope that this gives you an insight of just a normal, you know, family that has a comic book collection, okay? But at the same time, I don't ever want to be considered, you know, I'm going to talk to myself in the third person. I hope no one ever considers me Matt Woods, the comic book collector. I hope I'm Matt Woods with many other, you know, attributes who also collects comic books, because we definitely live in an active family, do we not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is just one aspect of it. Now, if you watch this YouTube video, this is all you ever see, and that's cool, because that's what I want the channel to be about. But I kind of like having this little dialogue back and forth so we can learn a little bit about each other. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, hit that thumbs up, put a comment down below, and hit that subscription button. But guys, we want to thank you, and everybody have a great day.